Okay, let's dive into this. We're constantly hearing about the massive, just unbelievable amounts of data being generated every single second. But how do we turn that chaotic flood of raw facts into something genuinely useful? Something like wisdom? In this explainer, we're going to build a blueprint for a data refinery. You've probably heard this phrase 1,000 times, right? Data is the new oil. And it's a really powerful metaphor. It was coined to show just how valuable data is in our modern world. The idea is that just like oil fueled the economy of the last century, data is the fuel for this one. But let's just pause on that metaphor for a second. Straight out of the ground, what is crude oil? It's sticky, it's messy, and honestly, it's pretty much useless. You can't just pump it directly into your car, right? It has a ton of potential, but it's all locked away. And the exact same thing is true for raw data.
To unlock all that potential, you need a refinery. And for our purposes today, the architectural plan for our data refinery is a classic, really elegant framework, the DIKW pyramid. It's a fantastic model for understanding that journey from just raw data all the way to profound insight.
So here it is. You can see it has 4 distinct levels, and we're going to climb them together. We start at the very bottom, the foundation, with raw data. Then we refine that into information. We forge that information into knowledge. And finally, we reach for the very top, the apex, with wisdom. Now, it looks like a clean, logical progression, but as we're about to see, the real world is often a little bit messier than that.
All right, so let's begin our climb at the very foundation of the pyramid. This is the first stage of our refinery. This is where we're drilling for the crude material, data.
In its purest form, what is data? It's really just a collection of raw, completely unorganized symbols. Think about it like a long list of sensor readings, or a bunch of website clicks, or just rows and rows of numbers in a spreadsheet. One researcher, Milan Zalini, he called this the know-nothing stage. And that's perfect. These are just facts, totally without context. And on their own, they have absolutely no meaning or value. Now, what's really interesting here is how this whole idea maps to real-world systems. If you look at the NIST Big Data Reference Architecture, this raw material is collected by a role they call a data provider. And this is the part of the system that's responsible for gathering all those raw facts from countless sources, just like drilling rigs pulling that crude oil right out of the ground.
Okay, let's move up to our next stage and see how this all builds. Once we have the raw data, we can finally begin the real refining process. So, welcome to stage 2, information.
Information is what you get when you start processing all that raw data. You organize it, you give it structure, you give it context. So think about it this way. A long list of temperatures is just data. But a chart showing temperature changes in London over the last month, now that's information. It starts to answer those basic questions: who, what, where, when. It's data that has finally been made meaningful.
Now we're getting to the heart of our refinery. This is where we take all that refined information and use it to power the real engine of insight. This is stage 3, knowledge.
Knowledge is where information becomes actionable. It's all about applying what we've learned to answer the how questions. So if information tells us what happened, knowledge tells us how to use that information to actually achieve a goal. It's the know-how that you gain from experience and from seeing patterns. It's not just a description of the world, it's a recipe for action within it.
You know, in a traditional data refinery, the machinery that turns all that information into knowledge, well, it often looks like a machine learning pipeline. You ingest and store the data. That's like collecting the crude. You clean it by filtering out all the impurities. You train a model on it. That's running the machinery. And then you deploy that model to make predictions or automate tasks. That's like distributing the fuel. It's a classic, powerful process, but it can be really labor-intensive.
But that labor-intensive process, that's exactly what's being completely revolutionized right now. In just the last few years, our refinery has gotten a massive AI-powered overhaul, and it's fundamentally changing how we create knowledge.
So here's the difference. Think of it as a tale of 2 refineries. The traditional pipeline, that needs extensive, specialized training, usually on neat, perfectly structured data. The modern approach, using large language models, is a whole different ballgame. These models, they come pre-trained on a massive chunk of the internet, which makes them incredibly versatile, especially with all the messy, unstructured data out there, like emails or customer reviews.
And this new approach brings some incredible new tools to our refinery. I mean, we're talking superpowers. With something called zero-shot learning, an LLM could perform a task it has literally never seen before. With fine-tuning, you can take a massive model and adapt it to your specific needs, like a customer service chatbot with just a tiny amount of data.
And with retrieval augmented generation, or RAG, the model can actually look up live, up-to-the-minute information to generate answers, making it way more powerful and accurate. So, we've climbed from data to information to knowledge, and we've even upgraded our entire refinery with AI. Now we arrive at the very top of the pyramid, the final, most valuable product of all, wisdom. But this is also where that clean, linear model starts to get really complicated.
So what even is wisdom? Well, it's more than just know-how. It's what you might call evaluated understanding. It's applying knowledge with judgment, with ethics, with a sense of the bigger picture. It's not just knowing how to do something, but knowing why you should. Or maybe more importantly, why you shouldn't. It's the kind of understanding that lets us pursue outcomes that we actually value.
And this brings us to a really crucial counterpoint from thinkers like the philosopher Raphael Capurro. He basically argues that this neat, clean pyramid, it's a bit of a fairy tale. The relationship isn't just a simple one-way street going up. Think about it. The very knowledge we're looking for often determines what data we even decide to collect in the first place. It's a much more dynamic and frankly messier relationship than the pyramid lets on.
And that leaves us with a really fascinating question for the future, doesn't it? As these AI-powered data refineries become exponentially more powerful, what are they truly producing? Will they be the tools that finally help us climb that last, difficult step to achieve genuine wisdom? Or will they simply leave us drowning in an ocean of highly refined, actionable knowledge, but without the judgment to use it well? Definitely something to think about.